And now, News Center 88 at 5, the area source for the most complete news coverage from across the campus of Marshall University and the Huntington Tri-State area. And now, the News Center 88 team.
Good evening, everyone. For this Friday, February 24th, I'm Leanda Carey.
And I'm Marcus Constantino. Coming up on News Center 88, Marshall's making it a point to be all-inclusive, whether you're from Huntington or thousands of miles away. Also, Josh Rose will be in with the Metro Huntington weather forecast, and Nathan Barham will join us with the FM 88 Sports Report. The current temperature outside the WMUL studios is 44 degrees.
And now on to our top story. Japan is about 9,000 miles away from Huntington, but as News Center 88's Brittany Barton reports, students are learning about its culture right here on Marshall's campus.
Brendan Ryan is not a fluent Japanese speaker, but he takes an hour each Wednesday to learn about Japanese culture through the Japan Talk program. Though Ryan majors in criminal justice, he said he thinks he benefits from being familiar with another culture.
I think it's fun, and I really like the culture, and I want to go, and I don't think a major should dictate whether you do something or like something.
Japanese outreach coordinator and native speaker Azusa Hana Yamada conducts each topical discussion, hoping that students gain a better understanding of Japanese culture and then juxtapose it with their own.
I find it very difficult to explain our culture because when I was in Japan, I thought it's just normal, but once I come here, it's pretty difficult to explain what it is exactly. This is responsibility to explain really well and not making any misunderstanding.
Yamada's job is to present outreach activities to the tri-state area, not just Marshall's campus. She said she draws topics for discussion from her own experiences growing up in Japan and from the ideas of modern language professors at Marshall. Past topics include fortune-telling and Valentine's Day. Ryan cites Valentine's Day as his favorite session.
The Valentine's Day one was really funny, just to see the difference in the customs and how the holiday works between two different countries. Ours is a little bit more commercialized, while theirs is, I guess, a little bit more earnest and a little bit more balanced.
Ryan encourages other students to attend because it presents a small slice of what the country has to offer.
I think it would be a great opportunity. You'd be able to learn something new, learn about the culture, and it'll ease you into if you really do want to learn the language.
The program is new this year and is an extension of the previously existing language tables. Japan Talk differs from language tables because they are conducted in English and focus on cultural aspects. In addition to the meetings, the group is organizing a special event on Monday entitled Japan Today after the earthquake. It will consist of a Japanese documentary 1 year after the earthquake and a traditional koto Japanese music performance. For News Center 88, I'm Brittany Barton.
Thanks, Brittany. Japan Talk meets Wednesday afternoons at 3 in the Global Study Lounge, and the earthquake anniversary begins Monday afternoon at 4 in the Student Center basement.
A Kids Count data snapshot on high-poverty communities released yesterday shows a surge in the number of children living in high-poverty communities. Nationwide, it's a 25% increase affecting nearly 8 million children. In West Virginia, there's been an 18% increase affecting 5,000 children. Laura Spear, Associate Director of Policy Reform at the Casey Foundation, says children in these neighborhoods face challenges in almost every aspect of their lives that make it less likely that they'll reach their full potential as adults.
When you grow up poor, you have a lot stacked against you already, but these children are much more at risk because they just don't have the social capital to make things different.
In West Virginia, communities are considered high poverty if 30% or more of the residents live below the federal poverty line.
Living in an area of concentrated poverty limits the opportunities that families have available to them.
The report stresses the importance of what some are calling social capital and the personal connections that help people maintain healthy families and help kids overcome setbacks. Laura Spear says about 75% of those children living in an area of concentrated poverty have at least one parent in the workforce, but those children are still at risk.
One Marshall student has caught the student body's attention. As News Center 88's Jimmy Sanders reports, it couldn't have happened without a mix of Marshall's quirks and Facebook.
Jonathan Pearson may look like a typical college student, but not many people know that Jonathan is the father of a campus-wide sensation. He created the Marshall University memes page, which has taken Facebook users on campus by storm. Pearson says that memes, despite their rapid popularity, are actually quite simple in concept.
Well, memes are images that have went viral on the internet with text superimposed on them that are just funny things about things that are happening in the world, and in this case, Marshall campus.
Pearson started Marshall University Memes just 2 weeks ago, and in that time, the page already has more than 1,000 likes. One might think he would be blindsided by such quick popularity, but Pearson was expecting the big response all along.
Well, WVU had a meme page, and it blew up pretty quickly. So I thought, it'd be a pretty good opportunity to create a Marshall page since we're in the same state. And I did expect for a good number of people to respond to it.
Despite the sudden and viral popularity of his page, Pearson has not personally shared in the fame that his page enjoys.
I mean, a couple people have come up to me and was just like, hey, are you the guy that made the Marshall Memes page? And I've, said yeah, but I really haven't put myself out there as the creator of it.
Several people have submitted their own Marshall memes, but Pearson's personal favorite is one he posted himself.
Well, I really like the meme on the Marshall Memes site. That is a Lord of the Rings playoff that says one does not simply ride down the bike ramp. It's my favorite.
The page can be found on Facebook under Marshall University Memes. For Newscenter 88, I'm Jimmy Sanders.
Thanks, Jimmy. Jonathan Pearson says he doesn't plan on making a living with the memes. As a nursing student, he says he's doing it just for fun.
Elsewhere on the World Wide Web, things aren't so funny. A man who posted comments about his estranged wife on his personal Facebook page was told to go to jail unless he apologized on the page for 30 days and says the court ruling violates his freedom of speech. Mark Byron is making the apology, but he and free speech experts say the ruling determining what someone can or cannot say should concern other Facebook users. A court magistrate in Cincinnati last month found Byron in contempt of an order of prohibiting him from causing his wife mental abuse, harassment, or annoyance. He can avoid 60 days in jail by apologizing to his wife and his Facebook friends. Court documents allege Byron's comments posted in November were intended to be mentally abusive, harassing, and annoying. Byron denies that.
West Virginia's prison system is in crisis, and the authors of a new report say they can offer lawmakers a way out. The state's prisons are so overcrowded that the regional jails have all but run out of room for the overflow. The Reverend James Patterson with the Partnership of African American Churches is one of the authors of the just-released Stemming the Tide, the Racial and Economic Impacts of West Virginia's Prison System. He says the crime rate isn't going up, but we've made it almost impossible for nonviolent offenders to pay their debt and stay out of trouble.
If the population isn't growing and the crime rate isn't increasing, but yet the number of people that are going to prison is increasing, then that's a reason to be concerned.
Lawmakers are now debating Senate Bill 342. Instead of trying to increase the number of cells, the bill would provide for more substance abuse treatment and more supervision and support for ex-inmates.
Some of the legislatures say they favor continuing the state's get tough posture, building a new prison estimated to cost more than $200 million. Patterson says that doesn't make any sense when almost all of the prisoners there are there for a reason connected to substance abuse, which doesn't respond to a throw away the key approach.
We're going to spin ourselves into bankruptcy with this criminal justice system if we aren't careful. This is an issue, a problem that we can't build ourselves out of.
Patterson says he favors drug courts, which are much cheaper and have worked in the past. He says alternative sentences are also less expensive and more effective. He says they help keep nonviolent offenders off the streets and in the working world.
Collecting taxes from people because they're working instead of paying $24,000 a year to keep them incarcerated, that's a win-win for everybody.
Stemming the Tide, the Racial and Economic Impacts of West Virginia's Prison System, was released Wednesday. One of the authors is Reverend James Patterson, CEO of the Partnership of African American Churches, that's in Charleston.
Governor Earl Ray Tomblin wants a national group to help West Virginia ease that prison crowding. Tomblin says he's asking for a review by the Justice Center at the Council of State Governments. The nonpartisan center analyzes a state's criminal justice system and consults the latest research. It then recommends ways to save money that can then be reinvested to improve public safety. This approach helped Texas avoid building 8 new prisons and save $440 million. Justice Center reviews inspired legislation enacted last year in Ohio and North Carolina. A state must show bipartisan support across its 3 branches of government to be eligible for a review. West Virginia lawmakers are considering several proposals aimed at inmate crowding. Tomlin says he'd rather await the center's recommendations.
And coming up, whether you're trying to pay for school or just make a little extra cash while you're there, Marshall might just have an option for you. That and more news from across the nation and the world right after this.